Welcome to Home Buying 101 with Francisco Gonzalez. Today with me is Ivan Gonzalez from ICore Lending. Ivan, thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Francisco.
So Ivan, tell me, who is Ivan Gonzalez?
Ivan Gonzalez is a mortgage lender. I've been in the business for about 7-8 years already. I got into this business to just try to help families achieve the home buying or American dream to own a home for their families, just like, my parents did for us. I think it was very special when my parents finally paid off their house. They were homeowners, actual, homeowners. But it was nice, and I think that drove me to get into the business.
Of course, that's an awesome story. That's kind of what I do in insurance, is just I want to help people know exactly how and what they're insuring and properly help them insure it. So I'm guessing you want to help people get into a home, but do it the right way, because there's some people out there that kind of like swindle people into home loans.
Of course. I mean, I don't want to give anybody a bad name or anything, but, sometimes there are people that do it for the wrong reasons. And, I like to clearly explain that to my clients and say, hey, you know what, I'm here to help you. This is what the numbers are. This is what it is. This is what you qualify for. Mm-hmm. And, just try to explain the whole process from A to Z and even more, just so that they're comfortable with you and that they're making a huge purchase so that they're comfortable with that huge purchase.
Of course. So, Ivan, we start off every episode with just talking about what the market looks like today. So, on active listings today in Maricopa, we're looking at 13,477, which is down about 200 from last week. Coming soon, we've got about 603 coming soons. Pending, we've got about 9,664. Median list price is about 515. Median sold price is 437,000, and days on the market is 74 days. So with the median sold price of 437, what does that look like on a monthly payment wise?
Right now, at a 437 price, principal and interest only, you're looking at around $2,624. And again, that's principal and interest only, not considering mortgage insurance or insurance on the house, taxes, anything like that. And that would be on a conventional loan. FHA loan, you're looking at around $2,436 with 3.5% down, just principal and interest.
And of course, rates are always changing, so this is just a hypothetical situation. So if someone wants to actually look at numbers, they should reach out to you, correct?
Of course, yeah. They can reach me at 602-317-0732. And right now rates are dropping. Like I said, rates are dropping. So right now it's a good time to buy, or at least get a scenario, get a starting point. Put your first foot forward, get your pre-qualification, see where you stand so that you know what you're going to be able to buy.
Okay. So, Ivan, this is actually the first episode I've had someone on where we really don't have a topic to talk about. We're just going to talk about the market today. So if you guys are interested in looking into purchasing a home, please look back at our first, I want to say 13 episodes. And we went through the whole home buying process from getting pre-qualified to buyer's consultation to actually going under contract, final walkthrough, inspection, and everything. So, of course, if you are interested in learning and educating yourself before you talk to someone, look at those first 13 episodes. But today, Ivan, I kind of just wanted to have you on the show. And what's the market looking like right now?
Well, it's both buyers and sellers market right now. We're seeing some pushback from sellers when buyers are asking for closing costs. But we're also seeing that sellers are willing to pay full closing costs so that buyers can either come in with just their down payment, or they can come in using a down payment assistance and come in with basically zero money down, which is an amazing opportunity for people that, work every week, work day in and day out, but they're paying rent. Instead, they could just own a home and buy their home, invest in themselves, invest in their home for the long term, for their kids and their family.
So right now, are we still seeing some people coming in with concessions, but some people are not coming in with concessions, I'm guessing?
Yeah, so instead of sellers paying like full concessions, they'll, rebuttal back and say, or counteroffer and say, we'll give you, 1.5% versus 3%. And then buyers do have to come in with a little bit of money. But at the initial pre-qualification, that is explained to the clients just so that they're aware that they might have to come in with some money. But it's still little money to buy a house for their family.
And what are we looking at right now, interest rate wise? Like, where are interests today right now? You said that they're coming down a little bit.
They are. We're looking at somewhere, maybe like, let's say FHA right around 5.5, 5.375. Conventional in the low sixes. I didn't look at those specifically today, but maybe in the high fives, but for sure low sixes.
Okay, then what about for investors?
Investors, that's going to be kind of a case by case basis. Depends on what kind of program we use. So typically on those, I like to just get this whole scenario so I can price it out correctly for them and not give them any false hope.
But usually those are a little higher just because it's an investment.
Yeah, you probably 7s, 8s, and then depending on the type of program, if it's, I-10 or a bank statement loan, those are going to be a little bit higher because of the risk.
Okay. So if someone wants to look into going into buying something right now, what are some suggestions you have for them right now in this market?
Honestly, just get with the lender. Let them talk to you first. Let them get your whole scenario, what your situation is, so that they could put you in the best program or best programs available to you, and then you could decide from there.
Okay. Any other tips or any other information you have for some of our consumers right now in this market?
Always reach out to a lender or a mortgage specialist. Try to stay away from my uncle, my aunt, my coworker said this, my coworker did this. Whatever happened 3 months ago, that might not be available anymore. So always get with the professional so that you get facts, because you want facts, because you don't want to go into something and say, well, my cousin told me this, and then we're going to tell you something different, and you're like, well, I don't want to do this anymore. Always get with the professional.
I always laugh about people that they talk about, oh, I bought a house back in the day at $200,000. Why are you buying a house at $500,000? Well, you bought a house 30 years ago.
Right. I remember those scenarios, like when I worked for a builder, and I would do loans for people that were neighbors or in the community, and they're like, well, my neighbor got this, my neighbor did this. I'm like, well, did you ask your neighbor what their credit score was? Did you ask them how much money they put down? Did you run the whole loan scenario for them, even though they bought the same house, same purchase price, but your scenarios could be different? So always ask somebody.
Of course. So, Ivan, do you have any interesting stories right now that you could tell us kind of with this market, some situations that you've had with one of your clients?
Matter of fact, I got 2 of them for you. So I have a client that was in prison. She was in prison for, what she did. She came out and she has 3 kids. She has always wanted to buy a house. Her ex-husband told her that without him, she'd never be able to make it in this world, that she wasn't going to be able to ever buy a house or support her kids or do anything. And this lady works hard. She works 2 jobs, 40 hours for each one a week, and she wants to do everything to provide for her kids. And she's under contract right now, and we're going to close her by the end of the month, which she is ecstatic. And she can't believe it. It's still surreal to her. She's like, until I have my keys, I'm not actually going to believe this, because this is so surreal. Like, we're
of course
basically almost done with the process, but she just needs her keys.
Of course.
Yeah. I have another lady who, a daughter and a father, they've gone through 2 lenders, and they've got declined or told you can't buy a house right now. You have to do, X amount of things to be able to buy a house. It'd probably be 6 months to a year. They listened to a radio show, and they reached out to us. I had a meeting with them at the office, and they came in. I told them, bring all this paperwork. Let me just take a look at your whole situation. Just bring all this in. And they left the office we were there for 2.5 hours, just explaining, detailed, line by line, because they were never explained anything. Every question I would ask them, okay, so what kind of program did they qualify you for? What kind of rate did they quote you? They were like, well, we don't know. They just told us this number and kind of shoved us out the door because it wasn't enough for them. But now they're under contract to buy a $350,000 home, and their dream home, because they went to go see this house and they just fell in love with it. The walls and some of the roof is red, but they loved it. I was like, how are you buying this house? This looks kind of weird, but I guess it's not for me, it's for them. And
exactly.
They were just like, this is amazing. We can't wait to just move in. They had a situation where they needed to be out of the house by the beginning of May, because their landlord told them he's going to sell the house. So,
which is happening a lot more nowadays too. It's very common.
Of course. And they didn't want to buy that house. They didn't want to live there forever. So they were like, well, we need help. We've wasted 2-3 weeks already with these 2 other lenders. How quickly can we get this done? Like, well, just give me everything. Let's get it done, and let's get you into a house. And within a matter of maybe 3-4 days, they were under contract already. So it's always important to know.
So it was just important that you actually sat down with them and you actually like looked at their situation instead of just kind of like brushing through everything and saying, no, we can't do this.
Right. And I don't know how they were just not qualified with
Two other lenders.
Yeah, it was because they didn't really need any work or anything at all. So
It's just someone didn't take the time like you did to actually look through their paperwork
Right.
and figure out their situation.
of course, yeah.
So let me ask you this right now. Are 18-year-olds able to get on the loan right now? Because I've been seeing a lot of people, of course, they're adding more and more people on the loans to be able to qualify. But as an 18-year-old, are you able to be on the loan right now? If you let's say, for example, you have a year of working, let's say at McDonald's or a fast food restaurant, can you count high school for that second year?
As a matter of fact, you can. I was actually surprised when I looked into this because I was once told no, and I never looked into it before. And as a matter of fact, you can use it as long as you could show their transcripts, their diploma, the paper trail, and then their job history at the McDonald's or wherever they were. You can use it.
So, of course, that's something a parent can do also to kind of help their kid start growing their wealth early enough as 18.
Because I have a scenario just like that right now. And the son does work at a McDonald's. He's a manager there. And he is helping his mom purchase a home. And she's closing on the 15th of May. So
That's awesome. Is there any other little tidbits like that you could kind of share with our viewers that you just kind of you recently discovered or maybe not too many people know about in order to qualify?
honestly, I think that's the only one I have that was like, I was surprised because I was always told no. I've, talked to different underwriters and things like that, and they were like, no, we can't use it. But once I actually just did the research myself instead, and it was like proven that you could use it. And it's proven because we're closing on a house with that same scenario. It's funny you brought it up.
I've heard about it. That's why I was asking, just because I've heard someone else mention it to me. And I saw one of our mutual friends do that on a certain loan, like maybe about a month ago. So I just wanted to bring that up. So, of course, people out there know, hey, if you've got an 18-year-old that's been working for a year or and also just coming out of high school, they can help you qualify for a loan and get into a house together.
Yeah, and most kids want to work once they're 16 or of age to work. Most of them want to work, so they're going to have at least a year job history. So it's beneficial. It's important for buyers to know that because their kids can help them buy a house now if they don't own a home. And then by the time their kids, 21, 25, when they want to purchase their home, their parents can refinance out of it or whatever the case is or buy their own home. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, Ivan, if someone wants to reach out to you to start the process or just to start a conversation with you, where can they reach out to you?
You can reach me by phone at 602-317-0732 or on Instagram at Loans by Ivo.
Okay. That's loans and then by IVO.
Correct.
Okay. And then, of course, if you guys have any other questions for Ivan, you can always reach out to our socials. And, of course, if you are interested and want to get a little more research before you do reach out to Ivan, you can look at our past episodes from 1 to 13 just to kind of get an idea of what the whole process looks like. And, of course, if you have any insurance questions or any insurance needs, please reach out to us too. Thank you, Ivan, for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Francisco.